Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Kingdom Women Talk, where we encourage, validate, and empower others to do life. Today we're going to be talking about spinning the block. It's not what you think. Well, maybe it is what you think.
Could be.
Right? Because now this new term, spinning the block, means that you're going back and repairing or giving old relationships another try. But God has got a different take on it, spinning the block. He's like, go back and get it right. Go back and fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You broke it. You knew they were upset. You knew you made them mad.
Come on now.
Go back and fix it, i.e. spin the block. Right?
Wow.
Spin the block. Go back to from what you've come from and get it right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now that that's been defined, what are your thoughts about that? It's the most rewarding and challenging thing that you will ever do.
I had to do that a couple of weeks ago.
You had to spin the block.
Yes, ma'am.
Ooh, do tell. Hard?
Not really hard. A little scary because I didn't know what the response would be. Would the response be one of, okay, yeah, but we done, we through, whatever? Or would it be just, I think, the apprehension of not knowing what the response would be? But I had to do, because the Lord wouldn't let up.
Hey, some of the best things happen because the Lord would not let up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting that you said you didn't know how it was going to be received. And I think that is what keeps us from spinning the block, is because we're like, I don't mind saying I'm sorry, or I don't mind having a conversation, but we don't want to be met with opposition.
Mm-hmm.
But is that really a fair assessment for us? Like, to think that we jacked it up, tore it down, walked away from it, and then when we go back to make it right, we want it to be good. Like, we want it to be a comfortable move for us.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it takes time to get to that place, though.
Yeah, it does.
And that's not often, what we want to hear or feel. We don't want to feel the rejection of it at the moment.
Right.
And waiting to receive, okay, we're back where we were before.
Right. Because I think for me, because I've been in that same situation, I think if we're honest with ourselves, everybody has to spin the block or need to spin the block, right? To go back and fix some things, to repair some things, to get some things right. But I think for me, I also wanted to be well received. Like, you know what? Because your intentions is good. When you go back, you just want things to kind of get back to that normalcy. Let's just get it back on track. And it doesn't always happen. But then I had to sit back and think about it. Well, then who would I be doing it for? Right? Am I missing the message in it all if I'm thinking that it's supposed to be well received, right? Because if it's not well received, would I still do it? And oftentimes that's where we talk ourselves out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to kind of keep the main thing. At the end of the day, whether it's well received or not, this is what God requires of me. So
Mm-hmm.
off I go, right? I'm praying for a good reception.
Yeah.
But if not, can I be okay with I did what God told me to do?
Mm-hmm.
Or I did what the scriptures tell me to do, right? Because he said if you got an alt, you think there's an alt.
Mm-hmm.
And only if you think there's an alt, right, then
That's
you
right.
need to go back and you need to make it right. So if I'm doing what the scriptures say, nowhere in those scriptures does it say, and when you go back and make the alt right, walk away with a bestie. You know, don't tell you
Yeah.
that. Walk away with a repaired relationship. It's really making sure that we have a clean heart.
I
Yeah.
think for me it was more or less, no other way to say it is to not make myself look like I was judging.
Oh, that's good, Sheila. That's really good.
I guess to whatever it is that I said, I want them to understand it was not ill intent. And I think some people, when you say certain things, especially if they hit home, that it's ill intent, that you're judging them, that you're thinking you're better than they are, when maybe you weren't judging them. It was coming from a place of love. But when you kind of step on people's toes a little bit, they don't see that.
Right.
And so you kind of feel like, I just, whatever happens, I want them to know and understand that I was doing it not in a facetious manner.
Right.
At least that was for me, whether they like, okay, if you say so, and then they done with it. Then I can like, okay, well, at least they know from me saying this is not what I intended. And that prayerfully, somewhere down the line, they'll realize that it wasn't.
So how do you receive when they don't receive it?
I just have to receive it because now I've done what the Lord has instructed me to do. And that is spin the block, go back
Go back and make it right.
and make it right.
Yeah.
So I've done that. It's now the ball is in their court.
That's a hard one, though, don't y'all think? Like to go back and when it's not well received.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It's a hard
it
one.
is hard.
I mean, because we gotta walk away. Look, we go in with good. We go in strong. Our intentions is good. We're gonna make this right. And then when you met with Kick Rocks, it's like your feelings now become polar opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had to tell myself,
Yeah.
just remain quiet. That was the other thing because I was being met with, but you so-and-so, and I didn't say this when you was doing such and such, and da-da-da-da-da, you know, and I just had to remain quiet and not allow my feelings to go meet them energy for energy.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Because when feelings get involved, that's when things go left
Right.
really quickly.
So I had to remain quiet, and even when I did respond, I even had to watch how I responded, because then I had to respond with humility. And that's a hard pill when it's like, okay, I done already apologized.
And now you raking me.
Right. Now now you're trying me, you
Yeah.
know. Now you're going for the juggler, you know. So I had to remain humble and then put myself in, that was not my intent.
Right.
I'm sorry if that's how it came out.
Right.
You know, all I could do is reiterate what I had said earlier. But I did notice that I was ready to get off the phone.
Now, were you ready to get off the phone because
Because I could feel
you
myself
you
getting
couldn't be
heated.
quiet no more?
Right. Yeah. It was getting to the point where, Lord, be still my tongue. Okay. You don't owe me no, all right. Yes, I understand. Look, I got to get back to work. I just needed to,
But that's not a bad thing, though, Sheila. Actually, it's a wise thing to do, because oftentimes when we feel ourselves getting like that, when we stay in the fight, when really you should walk away, be gracious and walk away, because they're ready for round 2. Because now they done thought about everything that happened prior. And you know how we get, dang, I didn't even think I should have said that when she came with so-and-so. And when she did like that, I probably should have did. So now they're ready. They're ready for the fight. So it's just like God to say, they might be ready for the fight, but you're going to hit them with humility. Because
That's unexpected.
unexpected. And you
Yes.
can't, what can you do with that?
Yeah.
Because now, only person that's mad is you at this point. And you just, every time you raise up, you just getting hit with humility. You raise up again, I hit you with some empathy. Right? So then at that point, they start talking in circles, saying the same thing over and over again. And you're just like, okay, you know what? Well, I thank you so much.
That's what I said. I really appreciate you being receptive to receive. By now it's, well, sure, yeah, of course. Okay.
That's that humility and
gotta
that
go.
empathy.
Mm-hmm.
Give you a few gut blows.
Because you can't fight with nobody that's not willing to fight
That's
with
true.
you.
You cannot. But see, we go ready to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, if we have a history of fighting, then to go with humility and to go with, empathy and to go with loving kindness, all the things that the Lord shows us, right, that he shows us, they don't know what to do with that. But I guess that's the purpose of spinning the block, to show up differently than you did the last time. Because if you're going to do it the same, you miss the message.
You're going to have to spin the block again.
You're going to be spinning the block. Like, you might as well just get you
Park
some
your
skates
car
on.
and just get out and start walking.
You're going to have to keep spinning. You've missed the whole point if you think it's about going back and
Arguing.
Because that's not what it's about. It's going back and repair it. Because God wants us to win our brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
He wants us to win our brothers and sisters. And we're at a place now where it's critical. It's critical.
Yeah.
Also, spinning the block could mean going back and nurturing those relationships that we cut off. We talked about this at the event, at the Hey Sis Let's Talk event, because we talked about how sometimes we can cut relationships off early because, not because of necessarily them, but us. So spinning the block can look a few different ways. It could be where I jacked it up and now I need to go back and mend it. But it also can mean that I cut you off and now I need to go back and restore. Because you kind of look like, feel like, smell like, sense like something I've experienced before. And now I'm in protective mode.
Yeah.
I'm shielded. I'm guarded. I think, what do you think? What have you found to be the best solution for when you're like that? And do we recognize that when it's on us?
Not all the time do we recognize. Sometimes it takes a minute, for us to really recognize that, it is us. And, really come to grips with ourselves and say, hey, you got to bite the bullet and go back and do what you need to do.
I think I was talking to me and Sheila was talking the other day, and I was telling her, I think we was talking about something similar to this, and I said, one of the challenging things in relationship was after being in a friendship with someone for so long, and then you have to cut that friendship off. And for me, I was telling Sheila, I had to literally pray about that for, I don't know how long. It must have been a couple of weeks or so. Just steady putting it before God. And, the first time he was like, no. And then in the second time he was like, no. I was like, God, the same thing keeps happening. Like, how long I got to keep, I'm like Jeremiah on the mountaintop. Like, God, don't you see what they doing? Don't you see it, God?
Yeah.
So, but again, I think it was, he was teaching me something in the midst thereof, right? But I was ready to cut the relationship off. And then finally when the Lord said yes, he said yes, but you still got to do ministry. But you don't have to be friends in the close friendship. You don't have to have that. So that in itself wasn't challenging for me because I had laid it before the Lord. But I think it becomes a challenge is when we want to do it. Because I don't like what you said. I don't like how you treated me. But sometimes the season could be up and we need to wait on the Lord, or we will be spinning the block to go back and make it right. Right? You can't just be leaving, dead bodies everywhere you go. You gotta make sure that you do things in the order in which God intends for us to do. Okay.
And maybe God was trying to work on the other person as well, and maybe they weren't as receptive to hear what God had to say as far as their part in what was going on.
Right.
So maybe the reason God was saying no wasn't really a no, it was not yet, not yet, not yet, and then it was, oh, they gonna be hard-headed, yes, but you still have to do ministry.
Right.
Yes, let that go, but you still have to work for me.
Correct.
Just because look at the disciples when they walked upon Jesus talking to the Samaritan. They was getting all like, why you talking to, and Jesus was like, hey, I'm here to bring people,
Together. He's like,
to bring
I'm
folks to
doing
the
ministry.
kingdom.
the
I'm doing
will of the
ministry.
Father.
Right. So it's like, sometimes we, as you said, we want to just, you know what, I'm done. I'm done with that situation because we're looking at what they've done to us and how we feel, not the assignment that's before us. I think you all have said it, or we've said it. Regardless to what's going on, the assignment still has to be completed.
That's
It
right.
still has to be completed.
So I don't care whether y'all talk to each other or not personally. My assignment still has to be completed.
Still has to be
Very
completed.
true.
Because if you worked in man's job with this person,
The work still has to get
the work
done.
still has to be done.
But why do we think that's so different, though? Like, we really do think that the marketplace is different than the kingdom. Like, the same rules apply.
Right.
The people's work still has to get done,
Exactly.
regardless.
That's right.
And they don't care.
I don't care y'all don't like each other. Is the project done?
Right.
No. We'll get it
And
done.
figure it out.
Right.
Figure out how to get it done. But I guess that's what God is saying to us. Spin the block and figure out how to get it done. Figure out how to win your sister or your brother back. Why? Because the assignment still has to go
Yep.
forth. Wow. That just resonates. Figure it out because the assignment still has to go forth.
Yep.
So what have you found? What have you used to be able to win them back?
I have just found that time and space
Oh yeah, that's good.
allows for, the other person to be reflective as well as yourself, and see, even how you want to move forward. Because it may very well be different than what you had before.
Oh, that's good. It very well could be different than what it had before because that shapes a relationship.
It does.
Well, you got to spin the block. You're right. It may not be how you left it. It may need to be rebuilt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good because I think people get to see a side of you and you get to see a side of them that maybe you weren't aware of.
Right.
But again, in spinning the block, make sure you move according to the Lord about if it should be rebuilt,
Yeah.
or are you just going back to say, you know what, I overreacted. I shouldn't have responded that way. I shouldn't have said those things. Please forgive me. We got to figure that out with God. Like, what am I, when I spin the block, what am I doing?
Yeah.
You're making the scripture that says if you have an ought with somebody, don't you dare bring something to the altar
Correct.
and expecting me to, but you got this
That's right.
still hanging over here. Go make that right.
Go make it right.
Then come before me.
Yeah.
Because it could be God is saying, make that right. I'm not saying go back and the relationship's going to be the same, or even build a new relationship. I'm saying go back so there's nothing that interferes when you stand before me
Right.
that I can say, well, why didn't you go back?
Ooh, but doesn't that speak to the character?
Yeah.
That's really all that's saying. It's speaking to the character. Because think about it. If you dropping bodies everywhere you go, right?
Who's the common denominator?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. If you're dropping bodies everywhere that you go, then all roads are going to point back to you, like to figure that out. Are you cutting off relationships prematurely? Are you quick? Or maybe you're the one that passes judgment. You're the one that can't control your emotions, fly off the handle. You got to figure that out. But more importantly, understand why you got to go and make it right. Because you also got to do it with sincerity.
Yes.
I keep hearing get to the root. Get to the root. Like if you're a common denominator, get to the root of why you're the common denominator. Get to the root why you're jumping from church to church. Get to the root why you're so quick to be on the defensive. Get to the root why you can't maintain friendships. Get to the root so you can go back, spin the block, and make it right.
And how about own your stuff? You got to be truly accountable.
You do.
Because really in spinning the block, you're shaping it up for the character to display the characteristics of God.
Mm-hmm.
That's a walk of humility. Or it could be a walk of shame, right? That leads you into a place of humility. Or it leads you to a place of not feeling condemnation. Because you may be shameful going into that, but when you get to that point, you may realize, oh, wow, there really is no condemnation.
Oh, wow, they weren't really judging me.
Right.
It was my own insecurities.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Or it was me trying to control everything and they weren't having it. Because now you can run up on people that's like, wait, I'm not going to participate in your shenanigans.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not going to control me.
Right.
Come to me when you're ready to have an honest relationship. I'll be here.
That's really good. So spinning the block is about relationships, not about, and it's about building godly relationships and making sure that we are handling the people of God the way God wants us to handle them. Whether it's repairing a relationship, rebuilding a relationship, repurposing a relationship, whatever it may be, you got to put the work in. First, we're first partakers of that work, right? Understanding why we damaged, why we broke, why was it premature, why we cut it off and from the first place. And it may have been where we needed to cut it off. However, there's still a way that God will have us orchestrate that it doesn't bring damage and there are no casualties. So we gotta spin the block. We encourage you, be prayerful about who you need to spin the block with or to or fro or whatever the saying is, but take care of it sooner rather than later. Until next time, y'all, be blessed.